For me, summer usually means that I can finally wear all of my band shirts again. I've also recently been to a Five Finger Death Punch concert. It was awesome, 10 out of 10, recommend, would do it again. And that reminded me of this very shirt. I really liked the design on this one when I got it. Jekyll and Hyde is one of my favorite songs. You haven't truly lived until you've stood in a crowd of people all going, name's Tommy, welcome to that system era. Got that shirt when I was in high school, wore it a couple of times, and then not for the last I don't know how many years. There's just something wrong with it and I don't exactly know what it is, but I think I'm getting close to figuring it out. I usually get my shirts from the men's section. There's more variety and they usually get the cooler prints, but that means that the people who design those shirts usually do it with a torso way longer than I will ever have in mind. It's just, I don't know, the proportions aren't right, it doesn't look right. Also, the fabric in and of itself, always on the brink of getting you a little bit too sweaty for comfort. One of my personal favorite conspiracy theories is that women aren't actually cold more often. Men's clothing just isn't as thin on average, and every single shirt in the women's section is basically see-through. Just, you know, think about it. Think about it. All that aside, I do want to keep the design in my closet somehow. Basically gonna strip that one for parts. Also, I have this shirt, which is just a plain black one that I got secondhand. And then I'm gonna put the design on this. More strongly developed the belief over the last few years that life is too short for t-shirts without sick back prints. So I might actually flip this and attach it to the back somehow. We'll figure out the details as we go along. This one's not crazy thin because it's obviously also from the men's section. There is a lack of black clothing, especially during the warmer months of the year, in the women's section in general. I don't want butterfly prints and pastel colors. Thank you very much. Only the weak don't wear black in summer, as I always say. I do have a lot of personal gripes with t-shirt people and the divide between the men and women's section in general, but what I'm saying is it would be really nice if brands started catering specifically to me. But in the meantime, I guess I just have to do everything myself again. So I know what you're thinking.
Oh my god, she's gonna go crazy again doing a hand sewing project.
Potentially not, potentially yes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I think my making the Wednesday dress for Barbie is probably a good example of why you should not let me sew by hand, especially, ever. And also I think there was an incident doing one of my Halloween videos. It might happen again, isn't that fun? But no, I do have a sewing machine in here, over there, covered in dust. It hasn't been used in a while. Probably gonna have to do some testing. And then we're gonna see, depending on how well that goes and how comfortable I'm feeling with that, I'm gonna sew the logo onto the new t-shirt. Might run into some problems. These different fabrics have like a different stretchability, basically. I don't know if it's smart to attach them to each other. I don't know what's gonna happen in the washer, but I think I have done the full extent of worrying that I can do about this. And if it goes to shit, it goes to shit. I'm gonna realize that down the line, so it's not my problem right now. I'm gonna move on to the sewing machine trials, see how we feel. After a lot of around fuckery, I finally got the machine to work. Been playing around with the design to see what I could do with it, and I ended up with this. Just to shorten the whole thing a bit, thought it would look better if the two knuckleheads, that's the Five Finger Death Punch mascot, sort of peeked out from under the text. If you remember, this was at the bottom, but I was happy to get rid of that. I've debated putting that in the front, but honestly, that just looks awful. Now we have arrived here. Cut out the text separately and then placed it how I liked it and sewed that on. Coincidentally, this middle part, this like split down the middle, still lines up perfectly. Jekyll's no longer wearing a top hat, but you win some, you lose some. Also, this was so fun. Why did no one ever tell me about that? What the fuck? I now understand every sewing person on this platform. It's not like I've never sewn before, but I don't think I've ever sewn with this machine and it's gone this well. That is a very pleasant experience, and I'm not about to ruin it by thinking about the fact that I'm gonna have to do it again for a longer time and at a more critical point where this project could still go wrong. I'm allowing myself to ride this high for a bit, and now that I basically got the back patch complete, I am gonna fuck it up. With this thing, big file that I personally only know 2 uses for: breaking out of prison as a cartoon character, distressing fabric. The latter of those 2 options will come in handy right about now. I've decided that I want the edges frayed, then I don't have to sew it on as neatly, because it will quite literally look intentionally rough around the edges, you know? I felt like a slight change in scenery. Pulled out the spare table. The sewing machine is taking up most of this one. This is done, fully distressed to my liking. So now we gotta figure out the placement. I am most definitely gonna attach it to the back. Conveniently, I'm wearing a shirt with a back print. Might be a helpful guideline, might not be. I'm just gonna pin this and then try it on. And then still, you're gonna have to tell me whether it's good or not, because I don't have eyes in the back of my head. By the way, while we're on this topic, if you or someone you know designs band shirts, please tell them that there's other colors than red, and black, white, and red. 80% of all band shirts I've ever seen. I know, as a German, historically, that is a color combination that has been proven to work. In all seriousness, I would like some other colors. I have jewelry in other colors, and I rarely get to wear it. Try a nice purple, bit of blue, green even, anything. Switch one of them up. At least. And I'm not talking about the black. I can already see it. People making like those pink stupid shirts with the Metallica print on it again. You put wishes like that out into the universe, I always feel like I'm talking to one of those genies that is definitely gonna fuck you over if you're not very, very clear about what you want. And I'm saying it right now, I do still want a black base shirt. I have dealt with all the leftover threads and now it's perfectly on there. Now that's all well and good and nice, but we're not done yet, I hope. Because I have a couple more ideas, I just need to see if they're gonna work. Cut off the hem of this shirt, and then I'm gonna do some paint tests to see if that works out how I imagine it. Now that I have, in my mind, mastered the sewing machine, could give this an actual hem. But I also need to remember this so far has been very forgiving. I used a zigzag stitch to account for the stretch of the t-shirt. Didn't have to be straight or anything, and the distressed edges hide or rather blend in with it quite well. We're gonna see about the hem, but first let's do some testing. I got some of this Liquitex fabric medium a while back. Thought I could just get this because you're supposed to mix it 1-to-1 ratio with acrylic paint. You can basically just make whatever shade you want. So I have just done that. Then applied it to this piece from the shirt hem just to see how that turns out, if it seeps through, if it's bright enough on black fabric, because I foresee that being a big problem. Wasn't actually gonna like paint it. I was more gonna splatter some parts. The original design actually has some splattering going on here on the hide side. I haven't previously worked with the fabric medium, therefore the tests. Also, if you're screaming at me to obviously do the messy part first, I hear you. I was thinking the same thing actually, but I also was not sure whether or not the whole sewing thing would work out, so I wanted to do the major part first. I also hadn't really decided where to paint it. The more I keep thinking about it, the more I keep questioning the very basic idea. A symptom of every creative project in the progress. Might just eat something, go for a walk. Usually that helps. Or you know what? Sometimes it does not. These I did multiple coats on, stiff and uncomfortable and crusty. Noted, this stuff on black fabric. Bad idea. This is disappointing, I can't lie. And if I wanted to get this particular paint mixture to work, I would have to either bleach the shirt or paint on a white layer before it, and that would just be a pain in the ass. And I don't feel like enduring any pain right now or the rest of this year, to be honest. I did have some other ideas of what I could still add to the shirt, so we're gonna go over to those. Never mind, I caved and I bought some red fabric paint, which is also just in a different color. The stuff that I used to paint my Outsiders denim jacket. I'm gonna test this stuff again on this fabric, hoping for better results. This is an impressive difference, but it is thick, so it's not splatterable per se. Surprisingly good color match though. I'm gonna figure out a technique and placement, because originally I was thinking like up here. What about the sleeves? Well, as it turns out, actual fabric paint, a lot better at painting on fabric. Just sort of been dabbing this on with a brush, which has been working really well, surprisingly. In some places, just need to go over it once more. So 2 thin layers, Bob's your uncle. While that dries, there's one more thing I'd like to add. This bottom part down here, I was actually debating cutting that off and putting it on the front, but the whole design would look weird without it. However, there's still a way to put it on the front. I have some of that fabric transfer paper that you can just print on and then you iron it onto fabric. And I do have the whole back of the original shirt left. I'm gonna copy the bottom. What do you actually call those in English? What do you call them in German? What the fuck are those called in any language? Brass knuckles. I did actually know that. I did know that. Copy the brass knuckle part of the design, sew it onto the front. I also got myself some new black sewing thread because obviously I was running out. It's never not happening with at least one material involved in any project. Bada bing, bada why does it look so shit? Yeah, you know, I did a couple test prints, did my absolute best and hardest to make it a good color match. The red doesn't even bother me that much, it's mostly just that the white is fairly gray. I have to do better than this. I'm just gonna do the brass knuckles. I'm gonna cut myself a template and then just dab on the red fabric paint. Template accomplished. The advantage of doing it on the scrap fabric of the old shirt, I don't have to hold my breath the whole time I'm doing it, because if it goes wrong, it's all good. Shirt's still fine. I can just do it again.
Everybody say, yeah, now it's gone away. Rocks now down, nothing left today. No one gets today. We got to face the truth, now it's far away. Tell me what you want, here's what you got. You've been every day more than we have ever seen. Rocks now down, don't ask why.
Well, safe to say, looks cool. I'm very happy where I ended up. There were a couple hiccups along the way. This was definitely a project that involved a lot of learning. On the bright side of that, to put it in video game terms, I've unlocked the sewing machine skill and I have picked up some red fabric paint and put that in my inventory. And I now have the ability to use those for future projects whenever needed. So that's cool, I guess. Did not, in fact, hem the shirt in the end. Who's surprised I'm not? If there hadn't been all these hiccups, maybe I would have. But I also honestly think that like an unfinished hem goes perfectly with these unfinished edges. Why bother, you know? It actually feels quite good too, even when I put it on. It is still super stretchy. There's no weird tension where the stitches are. I think this design overall looks so much better and cooler now. Can't wait to wear it more. Really like how this ended up. As usual, if you want something to look a little imperfect, you just gotta perfectly do it yourself by hand. Meticulously working on every single little detail, because I couldn't just splatter the paint on. But honestly, I'm still good. It was quite fun actually, and it obviously didn't have to be perfect. Also, this shirt has like the original brand logo on this sleeve. It wasn't very noticeable before, but I think it's even better hidden within like my stuff now. The sleeves is a cool placement. I don't actually have a lot of shirts that have anything going on the sleeves, if at all. And also because this didn't work out with the printing how I originally imagined it. I think it would have been too much of this very shade of red had I like done something up here. So now it's just perfectly balanced, which is ironic because I'm pretty sure the idea behind this design is for it to not be balanced. But I like balance. So I got balance in the front and imbalance in the back, which ironically I think is a good balance. Some stats. I think I watched about 6 movie reviews during this, 5 episodes of Gravity Falls, and then just a bunch of random music. You'd think it was mostly Five Finger Death Punch, wouldn't you? It actually was not. A lot of it was definitely Voodoo by Godsmack. So much so that I decided I need the CD that song is originally on. Just a side note, I had to buy this secondhand because even 90s CDs are getting increasingly hard to find. Please don't let this medium die. It's perfect and I need it. Anyway, that was that. Always happy when a project is something that I can just use like a lot. And I've had about a million other ideas for more shirt transformations in the future, but I think I need to chill with that for now and do something else in the meantime. But yeah, I'm just gonna go chill in my cool shirt now and see you again soon. Rock on or whatever. Bye! That was creepy as shit.